never dreamed of starting a restaurant, but it was the location of Sweetwater. It's unlike any other part of London that I've spent time in that it actually does have an amazing community. One of the things Hackney Wick is most famous for is the number of artists in the area. And I always thought that this spot of land would be a perfect place for a really cool restaurant and bar. Not knowing anything about restaurants other than being a customer at them, it was a very nerve-wracking experience. When I came up with the idea for Barge East, there was one person in the world that I knew would be able to pull it off with me. That was Ryan, because of his incredible experience in the kitchen. And he really is just one of the best chefs in the world.
He just rang me up and said, how do you fancy opening a restaurant on a boat? And I thought, you're a complete nutter, but why not?
So Blandy was about to set up a mobile festival cocktail bar when I first approached him. And I said to him, well, actually I've got this idea, this concept for Barge East, and you know, we need someone that can really run the bar. And Blandy jumped at the chance. So after we came up with the concept for Barge East, one of the main stumbling blocks was what we needed to find a boat. And it took a long time to find a boat. We spent many months trawling across the country to try and find one. And eventually we found a boat that we could afford, because we didn't have much money at the time, in Holland. So Ryan and I went across to Den Helder to see De Hoop for the first time. And we remember walking down the canal in Den Helder, and we saw this incredibly striking green and white boat, De Hoop. And it was at that moment we both looked at each other, and it was like falling in love for the first time. Now boats like De Hoop, they have a flat bottom, so they're not designed to go on the sea, and to get it across the North Sea to the UK was about an 80 to 90 mile journey. You had to have perfect sea conditions forecast for 5 continuous days. And to find that window, it ended up taking 6 months. So eventually we found a 5-day weather window. We decided to make the crossing, but then the weather turned. And yeah, we had waves gushing across the boat, and it was just rocking and rocking. We were worried that it would just continue to rock too much. The captain that we had with us actually said that in all of his days captaining, that was the most hairy journey he's ever faced. So after making it across the North Sea, the next stage of the journey was getting it to Hackney Wick. De Hoop is far too tall to get here. To get under the bridges along the River Lee, we had to chop off the whole of the top deck. We also had to hire in these water ballast bags. So what that meant is we would have 30 tonnes of water downstairs in our boat's cabin, which we'd fill up to get under the bridges. So after scraping through the bridges by just millimetres, one of the bags split, just spilling thousands of litres of water into our amazing boat's hold and flooding the boat. I thought many times that day that we were never going to make it, and Barge East was never going to be here or never going to open. When we opened up, we'd met so many people that were walking up and down the River Lee as we were refurbishing the boat, and they were excited about what we were doing. They just wanted to help. They thought what we were doing was interesting. And then we managed to find people who liked us. What we found is the community supported us so much that we want to support the community as much as we possibly can. We wanted to use as many local suppliers as possible. So we're really proud here that our beer is brewed at Fish Island, just 500 metres away by Truman's Brewery. All of our spirits, our house spirits, come from the East London Liquor Company, which is based just down the river. And we've also been donating as much food as we can. I think we've donated over 2 tonnes of food to our local food bank. And we've also developed an amazing garden just along the canal where we're going to be growing a huge amount of produce that is used by the kitchen. So we're going to be able to tell people that the food they eat was literally produced in our farm garden. It's been a lot of fun, and genuinely this place would never have been able to start without the 3 of us working together. We've been through a lot in setting up Barge East, blood, sweat and tears, and we've done it together. There's so many interesting small and medium-sized businesses in the area, so many fantastic businesses, and that's such an important part of Hackney Wick, and such an important thing that is maintained here.